Yo, what's going on, man? It's your boy Rick Taylor, back with another episode of the Rap Draft, you know what I'm saying? I'm here with a special guest today. I'm here with my boy Bjorneurd, man. What's going on with you?
Man, nothing much. Appreciate you for having me on.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you for coming, man. First and foremost, welcome to the podcast. And pretty much on the podcast, we like to let the people know more about you and what you do and who you is. And I've been seeing you put in a lot of work, you know, recently and just period over time, and I just been like, you know, liking what you do, and I like your videos and your visuals and stuff like that. But I want to kick it off. We're gonna get into all of that. I want to kick it off like with your background. Like, where was you born and raised?
Shit, I was born in Ohio, really small little town. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to really speak of that. My mama wanted to get the fuck out of there as soon as she could, so I was born there, and then pretty much got raised all over the place, like in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in like London, in Norway, like all over the world, really, but mainly Europe and North America, because she's a scientist who's kind of moving all over the place to teach and study and do dope, things man. Like that. So yeah, real privileged upcoming like that, just being able to see a lot of the world, even as a kid.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. So I mean, primarily Wisconsin, but kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, like, since you've been in all these different places, like, you know, what was your childhood and your household like growing up?
Well, I mean, it was like a lot of transition, for sure. But for the most part, it was good, you know. My mama made sure that we had everything we needed all the time, you know, more than enough.
Right.
I got two brothers. I'm in the middle. So it was like we kind of just were each other's world.
Right.
It's cool, you know, really insulated type of upbringing.
Right. Now, with your mom traveling a lot, you know, she's a scientist. That's dope. First and foremost, that's dope to even hear that your mom's a scientist, man. How was it, like, going to those different cities? Did y'all hate it, or did y'all, like, was it fun for y'all? Like, hey, we get to go here.
I think we all loved it. We didn't even realize it was, like, a different type of upbringing because it was just what we were doing. You know what I mean? As a kid, you don't question a lot of stuff that happens. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like you just sort of follow what the adults say, and that's it.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I liked it, you know, just being able to, like, it always felt weird coming back to, like, small town Wisconsin, because I'm not even from Milwaukee. I'm from, like, you know, my family's from, like, the Fox Cities.
Okay.
Yeah, so small town, you know, not a whole lot going on up there. So it was always kind of just, like, it kind of contextualized more so, like, why Appleton is weird, or, like, why Neenah is weird, you know, where we're from and stuff, you know, because it was just, like, we kept coming back to these small communities from big places, so.
Now, I know you're a videographer and a filmmaker, but who is Finn as a person?
Man, I mean, especially recently, I've been realizing, like, with being an artist, whether you're a musician or a videographer or doing podcasts or whatever, you have to decide for yourself how much of yourself you put into your craft. Because, you know, there's no hours that you necessarily have to do. It's not like a 9 to 5, but, like, you know, you got to treat it like a full-time job, because it is, you know. And
that's facts.
I mean, I don't have enough time to even say what I do on my off time. Like, I just, every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm either filming or I'm editing. It's like this constant balance between the two. It's like if I'm not doing one, I kind of feel like I'm not doing enough. You know what I'm saying? And that's like, you know, someone could call it a work ethic. Another person could call the same attitude like an obsession. But it's somewhere in between, I think.
So I like that you said that, because I was going to ask, like, does it get frustrating and things like that? And also, is it a 9 to 5, or do you feel like you're obsessed with?
I definitely think I'm obsessed with it, especially because it's like anybody who does what we do, you know, as videographers or as artists, can relate to the fact that you can sometimes just be, you know, so detail oriented, it just derails you. You know what I mean? Like, you can be obsessed with something that just seems so insignificant, and it can be your whole world for a whole day, for example. You know what I mean? Like, I be tripping over color correction half the time. I'm like, this doesn't look good, and I'll put in hours to try to make it look different and better, and it ends up not looking any different in the end. You know what I'm saying? Just like, to anybody else from the outside looking in, they're probably like, dude's crazy. But so I think you have to be a little crazy to totally devote yourself to something, because it's like, with this shit, it's not like it's paying me big money. You know what I mean? Like, it's paying the bills.
Right.
But it's not making me rich, you know?
Right. Man, that's deep that you say that, because that editing, man, like, it it takes a long time, and like especially when you're trying to get things like done. Man. And I look at like, you know, I'm a videographer, but like you're a videographer. You know what I'm saying? Like you do a lot of music videos, and I see like the work you put in there and like the effects and all of that stuff. Like that's time consuming. So let me ask you, are you self-taught, or do you learn stuff from YouTube, or do you like have a mentor who teaches you things?
Yeah, I mean, I went to college and studied film theory mainly, which was kind of ironic because it's like I always wanted to do hands-on film stuff, but I went to school and studied the theory behind the film. So I think in some ways that helped, but in a lot of ways it kind of kept me away from actually dealing with cameras. So I do have a formal education when it comes down to like film studies, but not so much film production, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that it's smart to go to, I mean, not saying there's nothing wrong with it. Like, for somebody who wants to be a videographer, would you tell them, like, they should go to school for it, or do you feel like they don't have to really go to school for it?
Man, I mean, especially with just the way that schools are. I mean, I had the privilege, again, my mama is a professor and a scientist, so, like, I just went to the college that she works at for free. That's part of a fringe benefit of her employment there. So it'd be dumb not to do that, but I'm not going to lie, like, by no means with any artistic medium do you need to have a formal education to go and do that. In fact, it's like you're committing 4 years of your time at the very least to doing something where it's like you're not going to be able to put your full energy into the art, you know. Right. You're going to be doing a lot of other stuff. Now, I do believe that higher education is good. You know, I'm not saying that people shouldn't pursue that, because what I think college did for me more than anything, like, I can't think of specific things that I learned in college, you know what I mean? But I learned how to be sort of like a human being that makes connections across all these different aspects of life. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of what college does. It makes you a more well-rounded person, at least if it works well, you know. But, man, especially with this, with the videography, I would say it's like if you're questioning whether or not you should just dive into it on a professional level or go to school for it, I would just dive into it, because nothing is going to be better than practice, straight up. Like, you just got to immerse yourself in as many projects as you possibly can and stay as busy as you can. And you're going to learn through that, through sheer exposure. That's
most definitely, like, you know, good advice, man. You don't know what to do, just dive in it, and then you learn as you go, or then you'll figure it out as you go. Of like, maybe I want to go to school for this, or maybe I don't need to go to school for this. I can just study other people and study YouTube, because YouTube University is like something that really like helps out a lot now, you know.
Yeah, well, and it's totally free, and there's anything, any question you have, there's an answer out there for it, you know. So
most definitely. Now let me ask you, like, what or who inspired you to even like get into wanting to be a videographer and a filmmaker?
Man, I mean, so I'm gonna make a little bit of a distinction between like the music videos and just messing around with cameras in general too. Like, I've always had sort of an innate interest in cameras. Like, I always joke with my family, my grandfather had a VHS camcorder that they would always do like birthdays and Christmases and stuff on, and I would always take the camera and just like record over everything, like, you know, just with just random shit. I don't know, I'd be filming like dust under the couch, taping over people's birthdays and stuff like that. You know, they weren't happy about it then, but now it's, we can laugh at it. But, you know, that was from when I was a kid, and then when I was a teenager and like, you know, maybe 11 or 12 years old, starting from there, I got my own camera and started doing little short films and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's usually how it starts, man. It's like it starts in like, you know, something in the rarest form, or like, you know, that VHS tape set just led you down to the path what you're on right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's dope because like high interest, it sparked the interest in you, and you continue to do that, and now you're the type of artist you are today. You know, and I wanted to ask you as well, like, you know, how long have you even been shooting?
Really, like, full-time since the pandemic. We got put out of work. I was a chef kind of full-time before that. We got put out of work, and it was kind of just like, I don't know what it was about the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like, everybody all of a sudden was like wanting videos. And I already had like some connections here in Milwaukee, so it was just like I just doubled down every day down here.
Yeah. You
know, just making as much as we could. So that's really when, I mean, like, since then, I haven't really looked back. Like, it was, like, full-time since then.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's crazy because, like, I'm guessing, like, your goal is to be a filmmaker, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when I see your videos, I automatically know like, oh, this dude knows some stuff. Like he is deeper than just music videos, because I pay attention to all of that stuff, like how you like what you do. Like I look at the drone shots, the regular shots, or how cinematic it looks, and that's why I was like, man, I like his videos. That's what caught my eye. Like, man, this dude different.
Man, appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, man, I just seen how you was doing a lot of artist videos. I'm like, this the type of video I would want if I was an artist, you know what I'm saying, or if I was still doing music and stuff like that. Like, what kind of equipment do you work with, if you don't mind?
No, not at all, man. I'm not the type of person to gatekeep anything.
Yeah, okay.
Like, if you can ask people who know me, like other videographers, especially from Chicago. Like, I want to share locations and advice and like talk to each other, because it's like, I forget who said this, but they said it well. They said something along the lines of like, I don't compete with anybody. I'm just trying to create. You know what I mean? And I try not to be a competitive person. You know, I try to elevate myself, but I'm not competing against anybody.
Right,
There's more than enough out there for everybody.
Yeah, the only competition is the man in the mirror.
Exactly. Yep. So what was the question again? My bad.
Like, what kind of equipment?
Oh, yeah. So I got a Blackmagic 6K camera, so it can do 6K, but it fucks the computer up pretty quick. So I try to do master shots with the 6K.
Okay.
And then I got a variety of the Cine lenses. I think that's what people are like, when you're talking about it looks cinematic, you're really reacting to like shallow depth of field, really low f-stop stuff. So I got cinema lenses from Rokinon. I got a 20 millimeter, 35, 85, and that's the primary stuff that I use. And then, I got a drone. But I think more than anything, regardless of the equipment you have, it's more of like the awareness that you have of what your equipment can achieve, and knowing what you like, you know, what limits you can push. You know what I'm saying? And how all of it comes together. Once you develop an understanding of what you can do realistically, I think any equipment will work for you.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be a question of mine as well. Was like, what does it take to be a filmmaker or a videographer? What do you need? Like, what credentials? Because you could have any equipment, period, but if you don't, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what kind of filmmaking you're trying to do. Because I mean, I'm certainly not an authority on like what it's like to be a filmmaker. I'm like still out here just self-employed doing this by myself, you know. It's not like I'm coming from a place of like, I made it, here's some advice, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I mean, if you want to be a filmmaker, really, I think like there's just so many artistic mediums. Just be sure that film is the one that expresses your vision the best, you know. Make sure it's not painting. Make sure it's not, you know, writing, you know. Like, there's so many different ways to express yourself. Like, make sure that film is the one that's actually going to be like how you actually feel you're expressing what's inside externally, you know. Right.
I think that's a lot of times too that like people get confused there sometimes. It's like, yeah, your calling could be an artist, but it could be a different type of artist. You know, artist is a lot of things, man. And sometimes I feel like some people might see somebody, which is cool. Somebody might see somebody and get inspired and try to do what they do. But, you know, sometimes, like, maybe they ain't in for you. You got something else you're good at. Right. And you just don't want to accept it. That's what you're good at.
No, exactly. I think certain interests can be trendy, too, where it's just kind of like you said, like, you can see somebody else doing something and you can appreciate it, think it's cool.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you get, you know, are you trying to emulate the person and that single moment of cool, or are you actually trying to do, that?
Right, and that's where a lot of people get caught up at, even with, like, music and stuff, like, oh, that person did that line, let me do it. No, it worked for them.
Right.
You know?
That's why we have so many rappers these days, I think.
Man, it's
no
a lot
offense
of
anybody.
It's a lot of them. Speaking of artists, man, have you shot for any, like, big-name artists?
Yeah, shit, I did a G Herbo music video last December. Yeah. I mean, that, you know, all thanks to my buddy EBK Easky. Shout out EBK Easky. He's a Chicago artist. But he grew up with Herb, and so I've been linked in with him for like 2 years now or something. But he's a really thorough dude, and like, you know, got me that G Herbo video basically just off the strength of like, hey, like, you know, you've been doing good work with me. Let's do this.
Right. So let the people know, what G Herbo video is that? Is it out yet already?
Yeah, so it's called Euclid Days. G Herbo EBK Easky featuring G Herbo. Euclid Days.
Man.
Yeah.
I know that video hard because, like I said, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, when you watch his videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, oh yeah, okay, he's cinematic. He got a lot of movement going on. I seen We Up Next Fresh video you did, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's dope. Let me ask you, like, when you, because I see it like in certain videos, you have like, you know, you catch a lot of action, like cop cars and stuff like that. Like, is that already like does that be at the shoot at the time, or is those like pre-clips or anything?
It depends. A lot of how I kind of try to approach shoots these days is like I'll have one day of primary filmmaking where it's like, or primary filming basically, where I'm with the client, we're getting all of the footage that involves the client, and then another day, whether it be later in that first day or just another day altogether, I got a list that the client will compile for me, places, you know, just like locations, streets, whatever, like shit that they know that they want as B footage in the video. And I'll go there by myself because it's like easier to keep a low profile, especially it's like you got people you don't know what they're involved in, and you know what I mean, it's easier to do that on your own. You know what I mean, instead of having known faces with you, you know what I'm saying? So
that's dope. I never thought of it like that. You know, that's really dope, bro. You got some good work, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Definitely. Let me ask you, like, what is your experience like? Do you have any stories of crazy stories dealing with artists while shooting videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, without even naming specific people or even places, like, shit. It's definitely gone down a few times. Yeah, maybe I won't even say anything besides that. You know, I'm not here trying to claim any type of, you know, I'm definitely not about that life. I grew up in a really quiet type of place, so it really came as a shock to me to find out that, you know, people really do shoot at each other and people really do get into high speeds, and, you know.
Yeah, crazy.
And then finding yourself in the middle of each of those types of situations is, you know, if you can understand, for this humble white boy, quite a shock, you know, like.
Does that like scare you or make you like cautious when dealing with artists, or is it just like, nah, let's never know?
I'm definitely cautious when it comes to meeting up with new people. Like, I trust the people I trust, and the people I worked with, I've developed relationships with, and it goes beyond just like, you know, just doing videos. Like, I'll show up and just kick it with people a lot of the time, you know?
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, here's the thing. It's like, you know, for certain clients, you just got to know. It's like if they're young and they're wild, it's like you might just get caught up in what they got going on, you know? And so it's like you get in the car with them, you're in the car with them for whatever happens, you know? It's just like, so yeah, it makes me cautious, you know. Certainly had to learn how to like sort of establish some boundaries, but ultimately like those boundaries are up to me to keep. And so depending on the day, if I'm in like a fuck it type of attitude, like I'll be in the mood for some, you know, hotter type of shit. Like, yeah, let's be outside for this video, or like, let's, you know.
It'll be like that, you know. Sometimes you just want to, as part of the artistry, like, let's get this type of, you know, clip, or let's get this type of work done. And it might come with some things like that. Sometimes you never know what might pop off, but you know, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
Is there any artist that you want to work with that you haven't worked with? Like, is there any artist like you be like, you look like, man, I know that me and this artist will do some dope content together?
Damn. Yeah, honestly, I think, I mean, it's less so about specific artists, but I just be wanting to travel a lot, because it's like some of the things that interest me the most is just like different sounds, different places got like, you know, a different flavor to them. Like, I'd love to do more projects in like Texas, you know, get some of those old school cars down there.
Yeah, that's dope.
I mean,
slabs and swingers.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. But I mean, as far as just like, you know, I really want to just continue to lock in with people that I have been locked in with, like, especially in Milwaukee. Like, one of the ironic things about like this interview is I was kind of thinking like, you know, what does he want to, nobody in Milwaukee knows me. You know what I mean? I got, you know, when people say like, oh, your name's Finn, like the street, you know, on the north side, right? It's like, that's about the extent. I don't do work with people in Milwaukee. I really want to lock in with people here. I mostly work in Chicago. So I guess, I just want to see what Milwaukee has in store, because there's a lot of talent here and a lot of it is overlooked. And I think in general, sort of the work ethic of artists here is a little bit more relaxed than it is in more like, you know, busy cities like Chicago. Like, I think, Milwaukee's going to have its time, but.
Yeah, most definitely. We definitely on the rise, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why I brought you up here, man. You deserve your flowers too, man, because like I said, I know that because you seem like a lower, like you be low key and stuff like that. You seem like you just now you've been doing it, but you know how sometimes people have their time.
Yeah.
Their time coming. And I feel like you're one of those new videographers that's been doing it now. Your time is here. And like, trust me, you're going to have people coming to you and people seeing you. That's why I brought you on, because I wanted you to get your flowers, be like, and show people, hey, there's another videographer out here that's dope. Make sure y'all tap in with them. Let me ask you this question about prices. Like, you know, because I think sometimes when it comes down to prices, people don't really know like how much it costs to go into this stuff. Like, what's the average price? Like, what is the average price of a music video these days?
That's another thing. I mean, like the two places I work the most, like Milwaukee and Chicago, like you can charge a lot more for a video in Chicago easily, because it's just more of a business venture out here. People in Milwaukee, in my experience, are more comfortable just getting like any dude with a camera to just film a take of their song, and they'll call it a music video. You know what I mean? I was just in New York with some people filming a video, and like, you know, even the guys in New York were talking about how it's like some of the best videographers are coming out of the Midwest, you know? Yeah. And so I think like in Chicago, it's not unrealistic to talk about $1,000 for a music video easily. In Milwaukee, it's like you push 400 and people are starting to be like, I don't know about that, you know?
Crazy to be.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the client for real. It depends on the relationship you have with them. But for the most part, you know, I got countless Instagram DMs of people being like prices, and they'll, you know, I'll send them a price. You just won't hear back from them ever, you know, like.
Yeah, I'll pay that 400, man, for sure. I'm gonna pay it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just think it's dope, man. Like, you know, and like I said, it's crazy because Milwaukee, like, a lot of cameramen really be plugging artists in the city because they can be making way more than that. Like, you go out of, like you just said, Chicago, you easily get $1,000 for it. A lot of these cities be looking at our prices like, what, 500, 400? Like, that's what y'all pay? Like, we paying $2,000 down here and where we come from. Like, man, it's a lot to go into this. So I'm definitely know about it. And I definitely appreciate it, bro. Like, your work is appreciated, and I see what you're doing, bro. Now, let me ask you, like, what do you have coming up next?
Shit, we got, I just mentioned New York. I got one of Pop Smoke's best friends, Ross Swish, out of New York. We got a song with him coming. So that'll be coming out probably within the next month. That's with O-Block's Ocho Mana. So kind of like you got King Von's close people and Pop Smoke's close people linking up, just like he did with Fabio. So yeah, that's an exciting project. Just finished that up. A lot of stuff with EBK Eski, and I couldn't forget, you know, got to throw out a Milwaukee artist here. Maybe people have heard of him, Slim Mac. Who is the reason actually that I got into doing rap videos in the first place. So
man, look at that, man.
Yeah, out of total coincidence. Yeah. In fact, I just got to get into the story about how he got me to do my first rap video. Just because it's like too funny not to say, and it's just like total serendipity that it's just led me down this path in life. But shit, I'm washing dishes as a job, right? Living in Milwaukee. I'm going out for like a lunch break. Okay. And I smell like a fire, and you know, there's like a house down the street that's on fire and it's burning, right? So I, you know, quick grab my camera, because I always try to keep a camera on me. I go down the street, I'm looking at it, I'm like taking pictures, and then, you know, this dude comes up to me, he's got 2 Glocks on him, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, like, he approaches me, I'm like, you know, I didn't see him until he was right up on me, so I was like, oh fuck, you know, caught me, you know what I mean, like,
right.
But he's like, oh, that's a nice camera, and I was like, well, yeah, you know, it's all right. But then he gave me his number, he's like, let's do a music video, and I was like, okay. So I went back to work, washed dishes the rest of the night. Next day, get up, it's raining, I bike like 35 blocks west on the north side by myself, show up to this address, you know, like ring on the doorbell, and someone who's different, it's not him, the dude that I met, shows up and just like fully masked up. I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know who this is. And he's like, yeah, come inside. I'm like, damn.
I know, you was like, my heart was beating.
And again, I mean, like I'd never really been in the hood. I'm like, okay, well, I got no one to blame but myself if this goes left, basically. So, you know, but like whatever, I'm gonna go do it. Went inside, we filmed the first music video I ever did, and we've been locked in ever since, which is just hilarious to me that it's like the last 5 years of my life have been totally dictated by that one experience.
Man, it's crazy how our start, you know, how your start could be.
Man, and, so shit, like shout out Slim. We're gonna have a lot of projects coming.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That will be considered as a risk. You know what I'm saying? You took a risk and look at the risk. Now,
Right.
look what it did. It got you clientele. You got you doing videos. And you hear where you at now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't recommend doing that, but,
Yeah.
choose your own struggles.
Most definitely. But y'all make sure y'all tap in with my boy Finn, man. He's definitely a dope videographer. Got some dope content and videos out right now. Shot for a lot of dope artists in the city. And he got more stuff to come, man. Let the people know where they can find you at.
Man, Finn Bjorneurd, I'm going to spell that out for you guys because
Yeah.
it's a mouthful. FINNBJORNERUD. That's my Instagram handle. But you can also find me on YouTube, same name. So,
man, y'all, hey, I'm telling y'all, I don't just say stuff just to be saying stuff. I really mean it, bro. It's dope, man. I want to appreciate you. Say thank you again for coming on the show.
appreciate it, man.
For sure, man. Like I said, I like to give people their flowers and stuff like that. You definitely doing your thing. You on the rise. I can see you being that next videographer to take over for sure and keep that torch going for the city, bro.
Man.
So don't let up, man. I can even see you with some film work too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We might have to work together on that because I like doing the film stuff too. But
hell yeah.
Y'all know what it is, man. Rick Taylor, Rap Giraffe, my boy Finn, and we out, man. Y'all make sure y'all tap in.